A house with a friend? Introducing iCapital, where you can get investment advice on the go. It is accessible via app and website. Subscribe now to iCapital for stock news. iCapital is reliable because they thoroughly research listed companies, economies, and stock markets. iCapital provides a clear perspective of how markets interact and how it influences your investment. When investors and traders are debating whether to buy or sell their stocks, fret not, as iCapital will recommend Malaysian and global stocks. iCapital is available on Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and Huawei App Gallery. Download it now.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome again to our favorite Saturday after breakfast session. I hope you guys have all had your breakfast and ready for, well, maybe my session shouldn't be so long. I was told that, people, when they have their YouTube session or Facebook live session, is only like 5-10 minutes, and ours is like 1 hour, 1.5 hours. So I'm not sure actually what is the right length for this sort of session. I thought that the important criteria is whether it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes. The most important criterion should be whether it is relevant or not relevant. Well, today is a bit different. If you notice what we have written, we say that the last few years, even before the pandemic, just 2018, 2019, even before 2 years before the pandemic, it has been very stressful, and there's been a lot of volatility, there's been a lot of turbulence, and I guess based on my own experience, this level of stress, this level of uncertainty, it's at a level that we've never seen before. It's not just, if you go back to 2018, 2019, you have, at the time it was Donald Trump who was president, and he was already launching his, I call it a non-military war against China, the sanctions and so on and so forth, the tariffs, and then, of course, that pandemic hit in no globalization, there were no global markets at that time, right? So in February, March 2020, the NYSE and Nasdaq crashed, and the rate of decline in the 2 months was also unprecedented. It was faster, more broad-based, steeper than the great crash of the 1929 Great Depression. That was how severe it is. And then before you could even settle down and try to figure out what is happening, then the many markets staged a V-shaped recovery. And then after that, economies continue to contract, economies continue to suffer a lot of job losses, and all kinds of policies were implemented by governments throughout the world. Fiscal policy, monetary policy, public health policy. And from there, I think then you have, in the case of Malaysia, I think it was February 24th, 2020, where you have the 7th Prime Minister who arrogantly and very irresponsibly resigned, setting off a round of political uncertainties that Malaysia has never seen before, right? I mean, from 2020 up to now, you've seen four prime ministers. Then globally, you have the Ukrainian crisis, which is still ongoing. You have one of the most aggressive monetary tightening seen in United States. You have Joe Biden replacing Trump. And when Joe Biden came in, the global community was expecting that maybe he would tone down the anti-China kind of campaigns. But what has turned out is that Joe Biden has followed whatever Trump did against China. And in fact, Joe Biden has escalated it and expanded it and widened what Trump was doing when he was president. Then, of course, layered on this, you have climate change. As you can see now, there's severe weather, extreme heat in China, in many parts of Europe. Spain is Italy, Greece, and then all kinds of extreme weather patterns. So the list goes on. I mean, I don't want to keep on repeating the type of events that we meaning human beings, have to encounter in the last 5-6 years. In all aspects of our day-to-day living, whether it is cultural, political, economic, financial, things that we never imagined can happen. And in that last few years, I mean, on paper, it looks good, in terms of investment opportunities. You can see that, well, if you got your timing correct, you would have bought the glove stocks before they surge, and then at the peak, you would have sold. And then after that, you might have bought some tech stocks, and then before they started crashing, you sold them. So on paper, it looks like there's so many wonderful opportunities that we all could have taken advantage of. But the truth of the matter is, from what feedback I've gotten from the interaction that I have with people, is actually many people lost a lot of money. I'm not talking about the online scam. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. The billions of dollars of money, of hard-earned savings lost through the WhatsApp scam, the internet scams, all kinds of scams. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about people who thought that they were investing or trading as normal, that they were doing it smartly, right? So the volatility in the financial markets has been tremendous. And before you know it, the so-called bull market in glove stocks, in tech stocks, and in other type of sectors, before you know it, before you can even open your eyes again, they're gone. So many people have lost money, and unfortunately, as we stand here today on July 2023, the next few years promise the same. The next few years, if you look as far as our human eyes can see, the next few years would not be clearer, would be probably as volatile, as turbulent as what we have experienced in the last 4, 5, 6 years. And many economies, New Zealand has already gone into recession. The Euro area, led by Germany, has already gone into recession. Recession meaning 2 quarters of negative GDP. Taiwan, Singapore almost went into recession, has one negative GDP, 1 quarter of negative GDP, and then the second quarter slight growth. So narrowly missed a recession. And in America, it's so confusing, right? You're supposed to have a recession by now? No. CPI inflation in US seems to have peaked, but yet monetary policy tightening appears to be continuing. In fact, there are many studies or many analyses show that US inflation rate, the battle against high US inflation rate is not over yet. It's far from over. For example, because people thought that US tightening is peak, therefore the US dollar started falling recently. Not against the ringgit, but against other global currencies. Then what was one of the first response to that is oil price started bouncing back fast from, say, the West Texas Intermediate, from below about $68 per barrel, jump up to $77, $78 per barrel. And one of the Federal Reserve governors said that, look, don't forget, in the last year's summer, US inflation fell, and then after that started climbing again. So you're not sure where the US interest rate, the monetary policy is heading. NASDAQ has bounced back, S&P has bounced back. And then in case of Malaysia, we're soon going to have people expecting that this is going to be a reflection of whether the current government has enough support to continue into the next general election, or whether the state election results would be giving you some early warning signals. So what does an investor do? How do you go about navigating this kind of extremely demanding conditions? And also, a question that people normally don't ask: is it possible for an investor to enjoy, to have fun, while at the same time invest successfully? The two are not contradictory. It's just that most of the time people don't see investing successfully as something that can be fun and enjoyable. They don't have to be on opposite sides of one another. They can be part and parcel of the same process, right? And would you want to be part of a community, of a unique community, where you are part of something greater than just making money or money, right? Part of a long-term effort to leave behind a near ideal world for our future generations. All right. So why am I talking about turbulence in the last few years, unpredictable future, demanding conditions in the next few years, and then here talking about investing successfully and still having fun and still being able to live a world that is better for the future generations? So, in the pandemic, there was a lot of lockdown. People were isolated. You couldn't see the loved ones, the people that are close to you who got the COVID, who are sick, and you couldn't get near them physically. So those years, I think, sort of rekindle this craving, a sense of belonging, a sense of emotional bond among human beings. Because before the pandemic, we took it for granted that we can see whoever we want to see, whatever the time, whatever the place may be. But with all the restrictions, with all the lockdowns and so on, suddenly we find that human beings, we are all social animals. We have to interact to survive, to live a happy life. And with all those type of constraints, physical constraints, we find that, that emotional bond gets weakened, and the sense of belonging, you can't go and hug somebody, and you miss maybe shaking the hand of somebody or whatever it is. So those few years, I think, consciously or unconsciously, have rekindled this social animal part of a human being. So can you imagine where we have a community, right? A unique community where we can share common goals, common values, common interests. It could be investing, for example, right? And how do we go about setting this such a unique community? And if you can see what's behind me, and the T-shirt that I'm wearing is ICAP Fan Club. So I guess this morning session is to share with you the setting up of the first corporate fan club in Malaysia. ICAP Fan Club will be the first of its type, not just in Malaysia, I guess, in Southeast Asia, in entire Asia Pacific. I don't think there's such a corporate fan club before. And if you want to be part of this, I mean, this is still at the proposed stage. We are in the process of setting the club, the legal process. And if you want to register to find out more, to keep track, to follow us, or you want to become a member, or to nominate people to be committee members or president and so on, we already have a website. It's www.icapfanclub.com. icapfanclub.com. So you can go to the website, and I think there's a place where you can register your details and so on and so forth. And then we can take it from there. We will keep you updated as to when the first official meeting and so on and so forth will be held. Now, you may ask, why ICAP Fan Club? What are we trying to achieve? And what are the activities? What is the structure? What are the activities of this fan club? And what will be the structure of such a fan club? I think you want to call it mission. Very often I get very confused between mission, vision, because they all sound the same to me. But the vision of ICAP Fan Club is basically to create, to promote, and to sustain positive values. It could be in relation to sound investing. It could be in relation to building a harmonious, prosperous society. It could be achieving sustainable environment. So the important thing is for us to create, promote, and sustain values that are positive. So I think this would be the vision of the ICAP Fan Club. But don't get me wrong, it will be based on investment. It will be, if you want to call it, it's not really an NGO, it's going to be a society. So it's going to be an investment-based society. But it will go beyond just conducting activities just relating to investments. And even for investments, for activities which are related to investment, there are so many ways to conduct this type of activities, right? And before I share with you what were some of the activities that have been suggested. So some of the objectives could be like to share investment knowledge and experience of our members or of people outside the fan club whom we think has got useful knowledge, useful experience to share. A simple example, we could reach out, we could have talks at universities, those undergraduates where they may not be familiar, they may not know what investing is all about. So we could get somebody, not just people who have investment success, not just people who have succeeded in investing, but people who have made losses, people who have tried to invest successfully in the stock market for 5 years, 10 years, and fail. So we can share with these people the reasons why an investor succeeds. We can share them the reasons, the factors why an investor has failed, the mistakes that this investor have made, and therefore learn from that and don't make that kind of mistake. So we can share this type of knowledge, this type of experience. It could be on what value investing is all about, how does it work in practical terms, and then we can also strengthen, if you are already a share owner of iCapital.biz Berhad, we can use the fan club to strengthen the ties, the emotional bond among fellow share owners or between share owners and iCapital.biz Berhad. So what would the structure be like? We have consulted with many professional firms, lawyers, and there are a few types. There could be a Sendirian Berhad, it could be a company limited by guarantee, it could be a corporation, it could be a society, right? So I guess based on all those that we have discovered and assessed, society would be the most ideal. It's the most flexible. There are two types of society in Malaysia under the Societies Act 1966. One is a society at the state level. That means, for example, ICAP Fan Club, Selangor. And the other one is at the national level. Because we have thousands of share owners and they are distributed throughout from Sabah all the way to Perlis. So we will set up the society at the national level. Now, under the regulatory requirement, if you set up a society at the national level, you must have at least 7 committee members. 7, right? President, Vice President, Secretary, Assistant Secretary, Treasurer, 2 committee members, and these 7 committee members must come from 7 different states. So we must have somebody representing Penang, somebody representing Kuching, and so on and so forth. Right? That's the legal requirement. In terms of the types of membership, that's all. What I've said are all just proposals. We would have to formalize them in a proper meeting, in a proper official meeting. We will have ordinary members. That means these are people who would have voting rights, who can hold position at the committee. And to be an ordinary member, you will need to be a share owner of ICAP. Either, I don't know, we haven't set down the requirement. It could be like 1 share, 100 share, 1,000 share, whatever it is. And then you can have honorary members, associate members, and so on. So that approximately is the structure of ICAP Fan Club. The activities, I think, maybe I can show you the photo, the first photo. This is myself, the one in check shirt, talking to the CEO of Apex Healthcare. I was doing my research visit to Apex Healthcare. Can we have a look at the second photo? This is when I was, can we look at the second photo? This was taken in Jakarta when I visited the company. The logo that you see behind is Tokopedia. Tokopedia merged with Gojek, and then they formed a listed company called GoTo. It's listed on the Jakarta Stock Exchange. It's basically a combination of e-commerce and so on, which is very interesting because Jakarta, even though they're supposed to be behind Malaysia, they've got very interesting companies like this, and Bukalapak, which is also another e-commerce company, listed on the Jakarta Stock Exchange. So I was there doing this research visit. Can we have the third photo? Okay, here you see the back of my head, because you can see all the white hair. That's the back of my head. I'm in Tesla, Fremont, California. I did my research trip to Tesla in California. This was November 2019, before the pandemic. And part of my research trip was to test drive a real Tesla. This one was, I think, Tesla S or Tesla 3. And before that, I already tested Tesla S on the Californian highway. And not only did I test how electric car performs, but that time the model that I was driving was semi-autonomous. So it was a highway from California to from San Francisco to the northern part of San Francisco. So what we did was, when the highway was on a straight line, we took our hands off the steering wheel and allow the car to drive by itself. That experience is, you got to feel it. It's not describable. Can you imagine taking your hands off the steering wheel of the car and the car drove itself on the highway? Then, as the car moved forward, it was approaching quite a number of curves. Some of the curves were quite sharp curves. So we're wondering whether should we trust Tesla, let the cars navigate all the curves, or should we play it safe and hold the steering wheel? In the end, we decided, well, let fate be fate, let destiny be destiny. So we let the car navigate the winding part of the highway. Our hands, of course, to be on the safe side, were like maybe half an inch or 1 inch away from the steering wheel, just in case. But I can tell you, it's an experience that is unforgettable, because the car navigated itself on the straight part, navigated itself through the winding part of this highway. I don't know. I mean, I'm just waiting for the day when this type of autonomous driving is available in Malaysia. It's a totally different world altogether, which is why I can imagine why smart car, the autonomous driving vehicle, and in this case it's EV as well, is going to transform what we know as driving. Because if you are able to reach the level of L4 is where the car is almost fully autonomous. The fully autonomous will be L5, which is I think pretty hard to achieve, but L4 is good enough. So excuse me, if let's say you're in Subang, staying in Subang and working in KL, you get a car, you get an autonomous driving car, and the car drives by itself to your office. You can take a nap, you can watch your video, you can drink your coffee in the car. It's not a car anymore. It's like, I don't know, it's like a moving home, a moving office, a mobile home, mobile office. Your experience is completely different. So that is my research visit to Tesla. And one of the activities which I think will be extremely valuable to members of ICAP Fan Club is for our members to join me on this type of research visits. Right? Now you may think, what's the big deal? A lot of analysts in Malaysia also do this type of research visit. Superficially, you may not think that there's no big deal. But let me just share with you. I'm very sure I'm the only fund manager from this part of the world that has done this type of research visits all over the world. I have gone to visit Volkswagen headquarters in Wolfsburg, Germany, visited their plant. I have visited the plant of Rolls-Royce, not the car company, but the aeroplane engine company. I went to their plant in Derby in UK, where they make the huge engine turbines, where they were doing the blades. And I remember asking the officer from Rolls-Royce, I said, you see the guy there, he's like working on the blades of the turbine. I said, what happens if the guy last night went to the pub, drank too much, and this morning came up tipsy and semi-drunk and all that? And then how are you going to make sure that the quality is going to be good? Or I've been to a lot of Malaysian companies, whether it's in Penang Semiconductor or in Klang Valley itself or in Johor Bahru. So I'm the only fund manager from this part of the world that has done company visits, company research all over the world. And the other factor that makes my research trip very different is the type of question that I ask. The typical analyst, the sell-side analyst, the typical ones, most of whom in Malaysia have not really seen a real recession, a real bear market. They ask usually like, what is your, the favorite word they like to use? What is your guidance? That means, what does the company think its earnings and revenue will be like for the next quarter, the next 6 months? Or what is your capex for the next 1 year? Or what do you think is going to be the price of copper? What do you think is going to be the price of oil? So those are your very typical financial modeling type of questions, and very short term. My questions are very different. And my research questions are, a lot of it derived or related to understanding the business model of that particular company. And sometimes I don't just visit the company once, but I visit them again and again to fully comprehend what the business model is like. So whoever is able to join me on this type of research trips, I can quite safely say that you gain insights and understanding of companies and businesses that you probably will not be able to gain from other fund managers in Malaysia or in this part of the world. So this ability to join me as member of the fan club would be a huge benefit to be a member of ICAP Fan Club. And then we can have, they can call it fireside chat, although here in this hot country, we should call it an aircon side chat, where we all sit around an aircon and chat. It's casual, and we can have special guests for topics that members would like to know. We could ask maybe an officer or somebody who's good in, say, in the forex market to chit-chat and discuss very casually what they think is happening, right? So this, I don't call it fireside now, because fireside is for the whole country. We call it the aircon side chat. Can be up to what the members want it to be. And then we can even do not just investment, like I said, it's investment based. We can do non-investment type. Can we take a look at the other photo? Okay, this is the recent concert in KL by Eric Chow. So we could all, as part of the fan club, buy maybe a whole block of tickets, go to, for example, a concert like Eric Chow. I mean, it doesn't have to be Eric Chow, it could be Coldplay, and who knows, we might even organize a busload of us to go and see Taylor Swift if we can get the tickets, right? So it can be anyone. I'm just showing this just to show the range of possible activities, right? It can be investment focused, like the research visits that where you follow me, or it can be non-social, like this Eric Chow concert. It was very interesting. Eric Chow, I mean, he's a good singer, but he's not a good performer. He doesn't really know how to perform on stage. Next photo is to show you it can be something more healthy, right? It could be maybe for those of you who love the nature, we could go hiking. Hiking can be whichever part of the country that you like to go. There's so many parts of Malaysia that we haven't explored, right? I was just recently talking to somebody from Kelantan, from Kota Baru, and because I said I've driven throughout most parts of Malaysia, but I've never driven on the East-West Highway. Most people are not familiar, have not heard of East-West Highway. You have heard of the North-South Highway, you have heard of the KL Kara Highway, and so on and so forth, and of course your Maju Expressway, your NKV, but East-West Highway was built long time ago. It links the east part, Kelantan, with the west part, which is northern Perak. And it goes through the mountainous area. It goes through the central range of Malaysia. And I asked him, is it nice? Is it beautiful? Yes, it's lovely. You see a lot of mountains, a lot of forests, and then you have the Temengor Dam. So, for example, if the members would want something like that, we could all take a drive. And many of you, I think, have not been to Kota Baru. Many of us may think that, there is so dominated by a certain religious party that it's like a foreign world to us, foreign country to us. So who knows? As part of this vision of building positive values, sustaining positive values, we might organize a trip starting from, say Kuala Lumpur, for example, drive all the way up to Taiping, and then from Taiping we go up, turn east, and go to Kota Baru, have some nice Kelantanese food. And who knows, we might find something about Kelantan that the media has not reported. So it could be a whole range of activities, and all I want to say is that it will be investment based, it will be investment plus, right? To make it fun. For example, the bus trip from KL to, say, Kota Baru. On the bus, you could even talk about investment. You could even talk about what is going to happen to the currency, what's going to happen to the Chinese economy, and so on and so forth. Or we could have an investment conference, for example, investment session. I wouldn't call it conference. An investment session that is conducted on a cruise liner. We could take a cruise to nowhere. We could take a cruise from Port Klang to Singapore, or a cruise from KL to Penang, or KL to Phuket. And in that cruise ship, we can have investment talks. So what I'm trying to share is learning how to invest successfully doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be always in that same sterile format. It can be incorporated, it can be part of a lot of other activities, and you learn how to invest better, you get new investment ideas, you have fun, you make new friends, you enlarge your network, you make new friends, you make new contacts. So that in a way it's not Manchester United fan club. That is just about football, right? Or it's not about Taylor Swift fan club. It's all about Taylor Swift. we will have all the usual kind of accessories, right? For example, the fan club T-shirt, and we might have fan club mug, that kind of thing. We will definitely have those, but it will be a fan club that I think will be very unique, where the community that we build will be very unique. So, like I said, if you're interested, go to the website or leave your comments in YouTube or Facebook, and we'll reach out to you, and we will see how it goes, how the response is like. But we are pretty advanced, and I guess in setting up the society, it will take about 1 to 3 months. Now is July, so we hope to get the fan club going as soon as possible. I am very excited, and I just can't wait to be able to organize, or not to say organize, maybe join in some of the activities. Okay, Wai Chun asks, nice t-shirt, can we buy it? At the moment, no, because we've only ordered maybe about a dozen only, because we're still fine-tuning the design. I think this one's a bit wide. I may want to narrow it. So the final design isn't here yet, but when it is ready, definitely it'll be for sale. And for members, of course, at a discounted price. And for maybe the initial founding members, maybe it's a special gift. And how many colors? We're going to have only black and white to make it more striking and easier to remember, black and white. Tan Hanwei asks, Malaysia portfolio stop buying stocks. Am I expecting Bursa downturn? Okay, this something that if you're a member of the fan club, maybe we can discuss. Right? We hope that you join, Mr. Tan, and we can discuss investment topics, investment issues. And then John Doe asks, will ICAP fan club members get discount on the t-shirt? Definitely, of course. And Mr. Neo asks, may I know how to join and any terms and conditions to join the fan club? The fan club is open to anyone as long as you're above 18 years old. The age profile is minimum is 18. It can be 18 up to, I think we have talked to potential members who are about 80 something, even 90 years old. So it can be, I don't know, when I'm 100 years old, I probably would be a member of the fan club still. So go to the website, and terms and conditions, there are hardly any terms and conditions. It's just like the age. And then I think you have to be a Malaysian citizen. And then the other things like providing your residency address. And very simple. This is the category in the society side. You have to decide what category your society will belong to. For our ICAP fan club, we have chosen social so that we can conduct a wider range of activities. And then Awachun asked another question. For composition of members from 7 states, is it based on IC address? Yes, it can be based on IC address or utility bill. And then somebody says, great experience sharing. So those are the comments that we have gotten. And like I said, when we launch iCapital Berhad as a closed-end fund, it's very unique because at the moment, we are the only one. We are the only closed-end fund listed on Bursa Malaysia. When we organized our Investor Day, the first time in 2010, that was the first Investor Day in the whole of the Asia Pacific. And now we are going to set up the first corporate fan club. And I think if we get it right, if we get the right members with the right activities, I think it will be enjoyable, fun, and more importantly is for you to enrich your investment knowledge, and your investment success. So if you think that it will not succeed, I made this suggestion in the AGM of iCapital last year. I told the shareholders that we're going to set up a fan club. And after that, we did our research and we found out that LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moët Hennessy, that's the holding company of all the luxurious brands like Louis Vuitton and so on and so forth, listed in the Paris Stock Exchange. LVMH has got a shareholders club. Same like us, the membership to our club and to LVMH shareholders club is only open to individual shareholders. In other words, if you're an institutional shareholder of LVMH, you cannot join the shareholders club. And in that case, of course, you have to be a shareholder to be a member of the club, and then you get quite a lot of benefits. You can get discounted prices for many of their branded, say alcohol, for example. You can get special access to visit some of their LVMH special facilities, special sites. So in our case, I think we don't want to be a copycat of them. We want ours to be truly unique and as if not more successful than theirs. So with that, I guess I thank you again, and please share. Don't just listen to me. Share. Let other people know that there's such a fan club coming up, right? And it's going to be fun. Get as many members. I'm not sure what our membership numbers will be at the end of it. I'm not sure whether it's going to be 500, 1,000, 10,000, 50,000. I don't know what it is, but let people know. The more people know, the better the chances that we'll get more members. The more members we have, the more fun it will be, right? And before I finish this session, we will definitely approach iCapital.biz Berhad. We will definitely approach the board of directors and ask them whether they're willing to give us a initial grant of whatever the amount, 50,000, 100,000, to get the club going. Of course, when the club runs, there's be some kind of a nominal membership fee, but the initial part where you need to get certain expenses off the ground, we will make a request to iCapital.biz Berhad, to the board, and ask them for a special grant for this fan club. Okay, with that, I hope I've excited you and let you dream a little bit and fantasize a little bit, the people that you'll be able to meet, the new friends that you'll be able to meet, and the activities that you can join and have fun, and then at the end become wealthy or richer. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.